good afternoon everyone. For today's video, we're gonna be talking about the difference of the language, dialect, and varieties in different point of use or different perspective. Let's start first with the arguments of Cartu and Nelson, and it presents that the basic theoretical concept that must be understood in order to hold a clear view of the status of English as an inclusive entity and of the relationship of the many various Englishes exist in the world today. So let's just say that an American student will study French as a foreign language. It is to reason that students learning English where it was not historically not an indigenous language, were learning it as a foreign language. And according to Davis 2003, through his monograph, that he examines the reality of native speaker from various perspectives, including psycholinguistic, linguistic, and social linguistic comprehension, conceptualization. And after he examined the common sense, he found out that the opposition versus the native and the non-native speakers. So let's just say that a non-native speakers will have the confidence and they will grasp the language. They will have through their creativity, they can talk as a native speaker. So the basic criterion of the long asserted requirement of exposure in early childhood, variously known as the mother tongue. So it is possible, according to Davis, all other criteria are known contingent issue, and it is possible for a non-native speaker to acquire for someone for whom English is not the first language or their mother tongue. It is possible for them to acquire access intuitions about his or her own grammar, facility in creative performance, and so on. Let's proceed now to the arguments or the point of view of Professor Henke. So, how do we define language? So, according to Professor Henke, in order to distinguish language, we cannot use the criterion of mutual intelligibility as a sole criteria, and we need something else, and will be shown. So there is language criteria, which is composed of 5, and the first one is the standardization. Standardization is the development of grammar or the usage of words and sentences. The second one is the vitality, that is the existence of living community from speaker. So the language was spoken by a living community. The third one is the autonomy. This is the metro feeling, or the what you felt when you spoke the language, or you need to feel the language. The fourth one is the reduction. It is reduce written standard or reduce function from society, helps to distinguish varieties from standard learning. And the last one would be the norms. It is how you use the language. It may be good or bad, or the proper usage of language. And how can how language differ from other varieties or sub-varieties that the other linguists called dialect? So dialect and varieties, there are composed, according to Professor Henke, it is composed of 3. That would be the regional, social, and phonological. So the regional is each you will meet someone since everyone is from different region, so we have different cultures and different language spoken. So once we meet other people, we will adapt their language. We will learn from them, and we will learn from them as well. And for the social, that is how language used in a community. So you will learn from that one as well. And the phonological, it is from the accent in which the for example, um, from a queen or from the person in the community. So basically, they spoke different accent, and that will call the varieties of language. For Professor Kumor, for him, language defines human, or language define humanity. If there will be no language, there since for him, the language is about grammaticality versus acceptability. So grammaticality is the rules of language. That is the structure or the grammar of the language. Versus acceptability, that is the rules of language use or the use of context appropriately to relay message to avoid lead to an acceptability. And there will be it will form a society where in a society it may consist of two group of people that is not related to one another, so basically they are different. And since they have no similarities and they spoke two different languages, they will find the they will find one similarities, that is to interact for the purpose of communication, and it will form identity as well within that specific society. For him, there will be no distinction of language. There is no difference between language and dialect. Dialect is a language, and language is a dialect. This will be all for the different point of views from different linguists, or the point of view of Kachur and Nelson, Professor Henke, and Professor Kumar. Thank you.